Welcome to Elevated Women, the podcast where energetics meets strategy and wealth becomes who you are. I'm your host, Myra Swankotze, subconscious reprogramming master, energetics mentor, multi-seven-figure coach, and Brain's 500 global honoree for my work in conscious business leadership. This space is your portal, a frequency upgrade for the woman who's done shrinking and ready to claim everything she came for. Let's melt the old patterns, rewire your money story, and build a wildly aligned business from your highest self. This is your next evolution. Let's begin. You're listening to Elevated Table Talks. These are the unfiltered conversations with women who build from soul, scale with clarity, and move with purpose. Welcome back to Elevated Women and to another Elevated Table Talk where we bring extraordinary women to the table to talk about energy, wealth, and embodied business. Today's conversation is one that bridges both the energetic and the strategic side of business, because we're talking about pricing, selling, and scaling in a way that honors your body and your boundaries. My guest is Amy Lee Westervelt, a business mentor, energetic strategist, and the voice behind some of the most soul-resonant content on the internet. She helps creatives, coaches, and visionaries grow aligned, profitable businesses without burning out, sunning out, or getting lost in strategies that don't fit. In this conversation, we're exploring what it really means to price, sell, and lead from your body, not your fear, and how to blend clean energy with solid strategy. Welcome, Amy Lee. I'm so excited to have you on Elevated Woman.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity so much, and I look forward to our conversation.
Me too. This is really going to be a fun one because I think everyone that's going to be listening in on this is going to learn so much today. I love energy work and strategy. So this is right where I love to have my best conversations. Let's get straight into the conversation because I'm sure everyone that's going to be listening and is listening in will be as excited about this as I am. When you talk about embodied pricing, what does it really mean beyond the buzzword?
That is such a good question. And, there's a lot of noise in the coaching space. We have kind of this smorgasbord of all these different types of coaches, mentors, healers. Some of them came in from a vocational perspective, meaning like this is what they wanted to do their whole lives. This is who they are, and they just happen to be wanting to get paid for it. And then you've got some folks that are more like opportunists. They're more like, okay, this seems like something that I could make some good money at. So when we take all those people and put them together in the same marketplace, we get a lot of best practices that really aren't one size fits all. So embodied pricing is about recognizing what feels good for you and what feels aligned for you to charge or for you to ask the energetic investment of. Because after all, pricing is about energetic investment, be it currency, which is money, or your time with a client. Both of them are an energetic investment. And so when, you can be the most amazing coach or healer or mentor, but if you can't get behind, if you can't stand solidly in the pricing that you have, then it doesn't matter how worth it you are because you're not energetically aligned with that pricing. So for example, I'll give you a perfect example in my world. There's a mentor that exists in the coaching healing space who easily charges, I think it's like $11,000 for a 90-minute call and gets it all day long. She feels energetically aligned with selling that kind of a product. Now, I'm going to sit here and tell you emphatically that I am just as qualified, if not maybe more, right? Just to be a little bit, it's Scorpio season. Let's be a little bit more provocative here than she is, or as she is. And I would never, ever be able to feel coherent charging $11,000 for my time for an hour and a half. That's never going to be coherent. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what they can pay. That doesn't feel good in my body. I have found that being in the middle area of the pricing world makes my clients come in so much faster because there's no friction. I'm not feeling like, ooh, what if I can't? It's like, it's this much? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I personally love to get a good deal. I love to go to the outlets. I love couponing. I actually enjoy saving money. It's like a dopamine hit for me. So I'm an energetic match to people who want to do that too. And so for me, when I put myself in that no-brainer space, it just feels so much easier for me. Well, of course, I'm going to sign clients at that level. Now, you may be different. You might be like, you know what? I actually feel better at this amount, which is higher than yours. And that's okay. But it has to be something that feels good in your body, right? It's like dancing. It has to feel like it's in flow. The moment it starts to become something that's put on, the moment it becomes a script, and my investment is, hold on, what did I say it was? Or random angel numbers. That's when you start to drop that power, drop that confidence, and people start questioning your ability to support them when really the only disconnect was on the pricing.
That is so true. Pricing is extremely important in our line of work. And I find so many times the clients don't actually think of their pricing as something that's that important. What I wanted to ask you is, I know that the woman that's listening is going to want to know this. You said you like to sell sort of in the mid-range of pricing. So tell us, what for you is the mid-range? Because it depends for everyone else. Every person's different.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have peers who charge, $30,000 for 90 days all day long. That to me doesn't feel coherent. So for me, my one-on-one packages start at $2,500. So like who wouldn't do that? $2,500 a month for 3 months. That's like to change your life. Like people don't even balk at that. So you're getting a clientele that's more like, oh, well, of course. And they're coming in with a much more open energy because they're like, look at what I'm getting, versus someone who's, I don't like to have, and maybe this is off of the topic, but I don't believe in financial violence. I don't believe that anybody should ever be worried about paying their electric bill or their phone bill, or heaven forbid, feeding their kids in order to take a chance on working with me, right? Like that's not a level of fear that anybody's nervous system is going to get from me. So I'm very careful that like I don't create spaces where people feel like, oh gosh, it's this or nothing. And interestingly enough, my one-on-one clients, and I can say this, they rarely leave. Like I have one-on-one clients, they're not on contract. They're month to month. And I think 4 of them I've had for 2 years, because they're constantly growing. They're constantly being supported. The investment, and the investment has gone up, right? Like there's been inflation and things like that from where they started, but it grows with them. It grows with them. And as they grow and our goals grow, like they're still feeling comfortable. This is a support system. This isn't a shock to the system. And so that's really important for me as a coach. And that's why I kind of have my pick of who I work with. I'm very picky about who comes into my world in close proximity, because I'm not the person who is, charging $12,000 a month or something like that and only has a tiny pool. My pool's huge. And so I get to be as discerning as I want to be. And, that's kind of a powerful feeling. But it also, I practice what I preach. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the integrity of coaching and then turn around and charge people, more, I don't even like people using credit cards. I'm like, if it's not liquid, like we're probably not at that level. We probably shouldn't be doing one-on-one work together if you haven't even mastered the capacity to create the funds to work with someone one-on-one. This isn't a Hail Mary, right? Like come into one of my smaller containers, come into something for $111 a month and play there. And you learn and hone your skills. And then let's talk about one-on-one. But if you're coming directly to one-on-one and, this is going to be your like all or nothing, that's a red flag for me. So I have to be very careful because some people, they're like, oh, she's going to say, I'm a 5-line, right? So it's like all about the projection. Like, she's going to save me. She's going to fix it. She's going to change it. No, you are. You're going to change it. We'll do it together. But it's not going to be this, magical bippity boppity boo thing. So so that's another reason why I like to be middle of the road.
Okay. All right. And what do you think about higher ticket prices? If someone feels in their body that it is a good thing for them and they're comfortable with it, what do you think about that? Because let's face it, sorry to interrupt you. Let's face it, there are masterminds and one-on-ones out there that is anything upwards from 10,000 to 30,000. And well, not per month. Hopefully nobody charges that kind of money per month. But maybe there are some out there that charges that. Some do. Let me give you an example. A mastermind, year-long mastermind for, let's say, 15 to 20K for the year. If that feels good in someone's body, what is your advice?
I mean, for me, like if it feels good in your body, full stop, end of story. But we're talking about my body and how I feel selling. That's one thing. Do I look down on people? No, like I said, I have peers who sell that all day long. I mean, they can hold that. That feels good to them. They're willing to put up with a different clientele. They're willing to support a different level, and that's great for them. But like for me personally, have I paid $20,000 for a mastermind? Yeah, I have. I absolutely have. Do I think that I would do it again? I don't know. I think it would really depend on what it was. I've been in the industry for 10 years now. Like I've kind of done it all, seen it all, got the t-shirt kind of vibe, Mm-hmm. But if something was really attractive to me and I felt like it was a good fit, of course, I would listen to my body. Emphatically, yes.
Okay. So your advice is definitely for the woman that's listening to listen to their body and to feel into their pricing point, and be completely committed and behind that pricing point.
Yeah, well, as long as they're doing it for themselves, right? When you start to get into these conversations, these sales things about like take a chance on yourself and the coaches that tell you about the $200,000 they dropped on a coach and then changed their lives. Well, that's great, Susie, but you don't have 5 kids and you don't have a special needs child and you don't have all these other components that I have, So yes, living in your ivory tower with your husband and your 2 fluffy cats, you absolutely probably have that kind of disposable income. Not everybody does. So you have to be able to weigh out your own circumstances, right? Like you may say, okay, well, I can afford $1,000 a month because I just bought a new car last year. And this means like, we're not getting a new car. Like that's it, So like we have to be able to allocate those things as we see fit. But I'm certainly not going to sit here and tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do with their money.
Okay. What I want to ask you before we move on to the next questions is, as a coach for the ladies that are in business and they are listening, as a coach, what is your advice around their pricing structure? How do they know what feels good in their body? Can you give them some advice?
Yeah, let me think about how I can best answer that. Because I'm trying to translate it somatically, right? I think whatever the price is that you feel like you're going to like surprise people in a good way. Like to me, that's what that feels like. Like if the one that feels to you like, of course it's this. And you can feel the difference a little bit. Like when it's too low, you kind of feel this like resentment, like, oh gosh, I hope nobody signs up at that level. Right. Like so for a good example in the coaching space, we do early bird, we do regular, and then we do late. Right. So it's like if you get in now. And so the get in now is kind of a momentum builder to show, look, people are buying. And you have to be careful because like sometimes people will be like, oh, I don't want too many people to come in at that level because that's less than what I wanted. That's an indicator that that number is too low. So I think your early bird should be like this is what this is worth. And then your middle of the road should be like, now that you know everything that's involved, I've taken the time to make a sales page. You already have proof of concept. People are already in. Now you're going to pay a little penalty because you got a little bit of extra information and I did a little bit more work. And then late is like the boat's going either way. You know, it's like with cruises, like you'll notice, I don't know if it's like this anymore because prices are just weird in the economy, but it used to be that at the end of a cruise, when the cruise had reached capacity and they'd already paid for the gas, all the other seats, whether they sold them or not, it didn't really matter because it was like the boat's going anyway. So they could sell them at a discount because it was like, if we don't sell them, we've already made what we need to make. Now, obviously, it's probably different because capitalism's just a whole different animal. I have nothing wrong with capitalism, I'm just saying it's evolved a lot. So it's kind of the same thing. You've already got, like, or if you're doing something recorded and it's like, I already got the butts and seats. I'm already making $1,000 an hour when I think of how many people are in the group. Everything after this is like, if you don't want it, then I don't need you. Not in like a mean way, but in just like a matter of fact way. So that's where I would say that's the price that's like, if you really want this, there's going to be a little bit of a premium. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for showing the listeners exactly how they can feel into their pricing.
Yeah.
How can women know whether a price point feels expensive and aligned or contractive and fear-based? And this is again about pricing in their businesses when they pricing their coaching programs. How do they know whether that price point feels expensive and aligned?
Well, I think it's if they get excited to sell it, if they're like, oh gosh, I have these people. I mean, hopefully, if you're in business, you already have a warm market. You have people that know your work. They've worked with you before, And so those are the first people that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I have this thing. It's so great. We're getting in on early bird. It's this much. Like you'll be like hyped up about it, right? Versus like, ugh. And the prices, waiting for them to be like, oh gosh, that's too much. I think it's like resonance. It's like love, like you feel it or you don't. It's like you can't force yourself to be attracted to someone you're not attracted to. You can't force yourself to feel good about a price that you're not feeling good about.
And yet there are many women online that goes for the very high prices because that's what their coach says they have to do. And they might not necessarily feel aligned with it. So thank you for sharing that. It's like you said, if it really doesn't feel good in your body and you don't feel like good when you have to say the price, then you know that price is either too low or too high for you.
Yes. And I want to add something because of what you just said about the coaching. Mm-hmm. This is really important. So coaches who sell high ticket, they're aware that their clients have to pay high ticket. And so there's this little bit of an energy in a coach that they feel responsible to help the client sustain the amount of money that they need to make in order to pay the coach. So really in a lot of these high ticket coaching you get these people, these clients, these coaches who are doing really well, who have a couple clients, and then they want to expand. They want to scale. They've heard about $100,000 months. This is so exciting. So they drop 20, 30 grand on a mastermind or on a coach. And the coach knows this is a stretch for them because they've told them, you should stretch. This is amazing. This is going to change your life. So now instead of the coach making money and being able to feed their family and take care of everything and have their couple little clients, now they're working simply to pay that coach. And the coach is very aware, the bigger coach is very aware of that. So now all of the content is really secretly the higher coach, the mentor, right? Coaching the coach how to make more money to go into the pocket of the coach. And so the client doesn't even realize this. They're being taught, here's how you can continue to sustain what you're paying me. Do you see what I mean? So when we get to that point where it's like, okay, this feels really reachy for me, that's because you're thinking, how am I going to sustain paying for this coach? Whereas it should be expansive. It should be part of what you're making already that you're allocating to it. You shouldn't have to figure out how you're going to come up with the money at the end of the month to pay that coach. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay, thank you so much. All right, let's move on. What role does the nervous system play in our ability to hold higher prices or bigger launches? And this is, again, for the coaches who are launching and who wants to try and get to that next level. I'm going to be honest with you. I love next levels. But then I have been in business for more than 25 years, and my offline business, I made next level amounts all the time. So for me, that there's always a next level.
Yeah.
And I encourage my clients to have next levels and to charge more than what many of my clients charge, because they really do. And many of my clients do undercharge, and therefore they also cannot look after their families the way they would like to. So this is the question, what role does the nervous system play in our ability to hold higher prices as the coach charging, not as the coach buying?
Sure. So I would say that the nervous system is the part that kind of keeps everything online. It's like in the lull, in the void, the nervous system is what's kind of keeping everything afloat. So in a launch, for example, at the beginning of a launch, you might feel like, oh gosh, nobody's buying. It's the nervous system that kind of keeps everything in that equilibrium so that eventually that energy combusts. And then all of a sudden it's like, someone's buying, but you have to be able to hold that energy. You have to be able to hold it to that point of combustion. And if your nervous system's all screwed up, if your vagal system's all screwed up, then you're going to start to panic. You're going to have anxiety. What am I not doing? What am I doing wrong? And so instead of your confidence level and your energy being up here, it's going to be down here, and you're going to be scattered, and people can feel that. And people really do not give enough credit to how much the field can feel your energy. People can absolutely feel when you're in your power and when you're out of your power. So the nervous system is kind of the scaffold that holds you in your power if you've honed it that way, if you've taught your nervous system to support you. And, that's kind of a really big piece of what my work is bringing in that power, which I call energetics, right? Bringing in that power to sustain you through those times of uncertainty, through those times of doubt, through that void, so that it can combust and come out the other side.
That is a very nice explanation of how this works. Okay. And I know you've got something very special to share with us at the end. So, okay. You often mention clean sales. What does it look like in real life? And what are some signs a sale is getting energetically messy?
Okay. So energetically messy is when you're constantly checking your DMs to see if somebody's written back. You're trying to give them more. You're like, oh, and by the way, I just want to let you know, like giving them extra energy, right? Like when people, and I don't really do sales calls anymore. I do a lot of sales in the DMs. And I have to be honest, I'm not most people. So most of the people that come into my world, I really don't have to do a lot of convincing. They're just like, how do I work with you? Because my content does the work and my field, my aura pulls them in without me even having to say a word. So it's more like, how do I work with you? What are your packages? Put me in one, right? But I know, understand that's not that way for everybody. But if somebody gets on a sales call with you or something, and then you're like, hey, just want to make sure you have the link. Just want to make sure you have it. You know, do you need anything else from me? Like that's where it starts to get messy. When you start to feel, especially a lot of us coach on sales calls at first, right? We want to help the person so much and we fix something and then they don't feel like they need it fixed anymore. And then we're still energetically hanging on to the idea that they might want to work with us. Now, a lot of people say that they're thinking about it or that they want to work with you because they don't want to let you down. They don't want to make you feel bad. So you've got this energetic tether to this person and you're like energetically stalking them around the internet and everywhere else and liking this and doing this and trying to endear yourself when you're actually creating an awkward, tethering to this person. So what I do is when somebody comes into my world and they're like, oh, I want to hear more, okay, I'll be in touch. I cut the cord right there. And it's like, if they come back into my world, they come back into my world. But like, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. Yes? No. I don't know. Okay, great. And then I go back and I do my thing. I don't do follow-ups. I don't email and, hey, it was so great to get in it. Like, I don't do that. That's not the way that my energy works. And I don't think it would serve anybody if I did it anyway. I will say in the beginning, I probably did that more. I probably did more of like, hey, just let me know, the people pleasing. Obviously, I've grown out of that since then. But that's where, it starts to get energetically messy or throwing things in. A lot of people will be like, and if you sign up today, the whole like sign up at the end of the call or in the next 24 hours and I'll give you this, like that doesn't feel good to me. But again, your mileage may vary. Like I don't want to come on here and sound like I'm saying this is the right way to do things. This is just how I do them and how the philosophy with which I see the industry. I don't judge anybody who does it differently. These are just best practices that have worked for me.
Good. I'm really glad that you touched on follow-ups and emails and DMs that goes out saying, oh, I can help you. And I just want to touch base again. And I can give you this or help you with that. And I'm so excited to help you. Because that's completely also something that I don't do and I don't like. And you know what? For the people that are good at that and are comfortable doing that, that's perfectly fine. But for me, I don't like doing that. You either want to buy what I have to offer, and you can see the value in it, or you don't. So I don't do follow-ups either. I like to call it haunt people. I don't haunt anyone to buy, and I don't like being haunted to buy. Right. But that said, there is many women that gets away with it because they know how to do it, and maybe they don't make it feel as if they're haunting you. But there are many women that does it. And if you're doing that, if you're listening, that's perfectly fine. We're not telling you that you cannot run your business your way. Everyone has to run their business the way that makes them feel good. We are talking about what we have experienced and what we do in our businesses. So please don't see this as criticism. It is not. We are merely talking about what works for us, and what works for you might be completely different. And there's no way that's right or wrong. You do what works for you. Okay, next question. For women who feel resistance to selling, how can they begin to regulate and reframe that experience? I have had, over my also 12, 13 years of being an online coach, many women that absolutely hate the idea of selling, but they want to have a successful, profitable business. And obviously, if you can't sell, whether you're selling in the DMs or on sales calls, it doesn't matter how you sell. If you can't get your mind and your body wrapped around the fact that you need to sell in your business, you cannot really have a successful business. Let's face it, you have to be able to sell. Okay. Whether you sell with content, whether you sell in the DMs, whether you sell with ads, it doesn't matter. You still have to energetically sell. And many women feel icky about selling. It's just an energetic thing for them. And I often see that the women that doesn't have that resistance to selling, they really expand quickly. They get their businesses going if they're brand new, and they really get great success. And that's the same thing for women that's been online for longer and that hasn't gotten success, is they have this resistance to selling. So how can they begin to regulate and reframe that into an experience that they can actually build a successful business, a business that can sustain the lifestyle that they want and to be able to look after their families properly?
Well, I think we'd be doing a huge disservice if we tried to sum up this question in one question, right? This is such a I mean, you could write an entire course, you could do a whole year on this. There are so many different facets of this, right? There are worthiness blocks. There are fears about the value of our content, of our work. There's so many different aspects. I would say there's a lot of deconditioning that has to happen. Really digging in and thinking like, okay, where do I have these blocks, right? If I was working at McDonald's and I was upselling you fries, do you want fries with that? Right? Like, am I feeling that? Probably not. For me, I felt like, when I was in the multi-level marketing company where I made my millions and all that, when I was in that company, it cost $5,000 to sign up to sell the stuff. And I didn't have to sell. People came to me, but it was very easy for me to get people to spend $5,000. Well, when I left that company and I started my coaching business, I had a hard time getting people to spend $500. I was like, oh, but that's me. That's not this, right? Like there's very much a difference between selling a product and selling yourself. And so when you're starting to think about like, okay, what are my blocks? Is it that I think I'm not good enough? Is it that I think, well, who am I to do this? And so you really kind of have to look at what is the specific block? And then you can do things like EFT tapping, you can do hypnosis, you can do meditation, you can journal. But like each one of those, whatever those are, need to be given their own due. Like you can't just say, I have a hard time selling. You've got to find the roots. Like in NLP, we call it the gestalt, like you're pulling it out by the roots. And so like, what is the root cause? What is the thing that is causing you to feel that way? Because there is something. There was a defining moment, a limiting decision. Something made you think that selling was bad. And we know this because what do you think it is when you're a little kid and you're like, Mom, look at my picture. Look at my picture. That's selling. That's selling. We're hey, come give me your attention. So we know inherently how to sell. But for whatever reason, this is crap. Like, I don't know, maybe people have been in the coaching industry and they're afraid of Reddit threads or they're afraid of chargebacks or they're afraid, who knows what they're afraid of, right? People are going to say, oh, you're an online coach. That's a pyramid scheme. There's so many facets of it, but it's your responsibility as a coach to figure out where are your triggers and then take care of them. And if you can't do that on your own, you can look for a coach of your own. There are programs out there for that. But you have to do the work. It's like you can't expect to have a banging body if you don't go to the gym or you don't do Pilates or whatever. You can't just say, oh, my body feels crappy. Oh, well, like, why isn't it changing? Well, it's the same thing. It's the mindset, Jen. So you've got to figure out, isolate where those blocks are and then start whittling away at them. And I promise you, it works. It takes a while. Different ones take different amounts of time, but you can absolutely erode those selling blocks. You absolutely can.
Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Because yes, many women have this. I also think there's a lot of conditioning just for women.
Mhm.
Many women are afraid of selling because in the past, and way back, I'm older than you, so
Probably not by much.
um, so yes, we've been. I grew up in a business world of men. Okay. And women were supposed to be pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen, and you didn't get to sell. You weren't allowed to sell. You weren't allowed to even have a job. Um, and I think for a lot of us, maybe your mom was that. If you're younger, maybe your mom did not get that opportunity to do things for herself, but she was still selling. She was selling dinner to your dad. She was selling having another child to your dad. But we don't see it that way. And because we have been so suppressed as women in, you know what, you are entitled to be selling your product. You are entitled to make a difference in this world. And by doing that, or through doing that, people are entitled to invest in you. But a lot of us have had so much social brainwashing, I actually want to say it, that we just don't like the idea of selling. And many women say, oh, it sounds like that. And the men use this often, but then women tend to use it as well. It's the secondhand car salesman thing. Okay. So ladies, yes, please listen to what we are talking about here and the advice that Amy Lee is giving you. It is really important that you figure out what it is that makes you feel that selling is icky and that you do not want to sell. Because I promise you, if you want to have a business that brings in money to sustain your family and to give your family the lifestyle that you want for them, selling is unfortunately a part of it, and you need to make work of this. This is one of the most important things that I think that you can take away from today's conversation with Amy Lee. Although there are many, many other good points that she's raised, this is one of the most important ones. It takes work, and you need to put in the work. Okay, next question. How do you balance intuition with strategy when pricing or creating offers?
I would say that intuition is my strategy. I find that when I lean on strategy, I have ADHD. I was diagnosed in high school way back in the 90s. And so I can't do anything for very long in a certain way. I have to be intuitive. It has to be in flow. I'm a 5-line, I'm a 2-line in human design. So I have to lead with my sacral. I think that is my strategy. Like my strategy is to see where I want to go. When I get my intuitive hits, that is where my most magnetic content comes from. For example, a couple weeks ago, I was reading a magazine and all of a sudden I heard like, go get that one reel that you posted and repost it again. Like right now is a good time. And I'm like, what now? So I went and did it. And within like half an hour, it had like 2,000 views or something crazy. It was like, so like that's an example. Or like, oh, I'm going to write a piece about this. Again, I'm not everyone, right? So, when you have the girl who's an energetic person on there, you're going to get some more of those like woo-woo kind of things. Again, not poo-pooing strategy. My business partner is the strategist of strategists, and she does that, in our business. Like she does the funnels and the upsells and all that stuff, and she's fantastic at that. I have nothing to do with that. Every time I touch that stuff, it's a waste of time. I have written 13 emails in a sequence, and I have done the things, and I've created, and it falls flat. So for me, intuition is my strategy.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that with us. What systems or boundaries do you recommend for selling with integrity but still staying consistent?
So I'm going to tell you what I do. I think about what is the thing that lights me up the most to sell in the moment. Right now, it's my unfuck your money calls. Like that's the thing that feels really good. So I make sure that at some point in the day, I make a post about it, either an editorial post about a client support or something, or like a sales post. I put it out there. And everything else I let unfold as it may. Everything else gets to just be organic. Now, when I'm on an unfuck your money call, right, a lot of times there's a conversation about, well, I could support you even more with this, and so I'm upselling on a call. So I'm doing sales calls, but they're paid sales calls. And so that's my strategy, right? Or, downselling into a mastermind. You don't want to do the one-on-one, great. Let's put you in the economic version, which is the mastermind, right? And so and then of course we have all, like I said, the emails and the funnels. Layla does all that. So that's me. But I think that everybody gets to find that one thing that's lighting them up in this moment, whatever it is. If they're in the middle of a launch, if launches feel good to them and they want to talk about the same thing over and over again, I personally, that feels like a root canal for me. But if that feels good for them, then like that's what they should do. It's really about like, what is the thing that you're like, oh gosh, if people just knew this, if people just had this information, it would change their lives. It's like if you're sitting on the cure for cancer, like, would you stand in your driveway with a sign that says free cancer cure? No, you'd be like taking out ads. You'd be running up and down the street. You'd be so excited. Like you have to be able to recognize that your offer is going to change people in some capacity. It's going to make their lives easier, or it's going to transform them in some way. And if you don't believe that, then it's the wrong offer. When you believe that, you're like, well, of course they want this. Well, of course, like, how can I get this out there even more? You know what I mean? So I think that being able to recognize what is my offer that just makes my toes tingle, and then how can I get it in front of as many eyes as possible in the most organic way that feels good for me? Whatever that is. And it may be ads, and it may be doing 100 sales calls. It may be posting in Facebook groups. It may be sending emails. You're going to be able to find that thing that you're like, yeah, this is what feels good. TikTok, Instagram, Threads. I made 50 grand whatever during COVID because Clubhouse, the voice thing was so great. I loved it. I was on it hours at a time. And people were just like, hey, can I work with you? Can I work with you? Why? Because I was in my element, because I was loving it, because I was lit up. And people were like, that's what I want. I want that person lit up. You could take the exact same offer, and if you're selling it in a way that feels heavy and gross, no one's ever going to see that exuberance that you have, that zeal that you have for the offer, and it's going to fall flat.
Thank you for sharing that. I love how you look at it. And ladies, that is another piece of gold that you need to take away from it. If it doesn't excite you, and if it doesn't make you feel really, really good about that offer, then it's not for you. And move on to something else. You need to have fun in your business. And if you don't have fun, you're just going to drain yourself, end up hating your business, and you're going to give up. So having fun in your business means that you need to love the offers. Delivering them must be the most amazing thing that you love doing every single day. Just like Amy Lee was saying about her Unfuck Your Money. I love that title. I've seen you post about it quite a few times. You can feel her excitement when she talks about that offer. That is what you need to have for your offer. And if that is not how you feel, then please drop it and start with something different. Otherwise, I promise you, you're going to end up hating it. You're going to hate your clients. You're going to hate everything about their offer. And I think we've all been there. Amy, have you been there? I've been there.
Absolutely. I mean, you go back to when you thought that there were people that knew better than you, right? And they told you what to sell. I mean, you remember like those coaches in the early days that were like, you need an offer in this, and you need one this way, and you need that, and you'd be like, okay. And then you're like climbing the walls. Like, this is, I don't want to do this.
But it still happens today.
Yeah.
It still happens.
I just mean it doesn't happen to you and me because we know better.
Yeah. Yes. We do. But yes, ladies, it still happens today that people will tell you that you have to do something their way. Don't give your power away. Don't
It usually
abandon.
starts with, here's how I would make it. Here's how to make $30,000 before Christmas. Here's how I would do this if I didn't have a network. And they're about to give you a formula that's going to dry your vagina up. Yes.
I love how you said that.
But it's true. You know the feeling, right?
Yes, yes. I do. I know the
It feels gross.
Yes. So please don't fall for that shit. Don't abandon yourself that badly. Listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition and to your own body. It's really critically important. Okay, so here is the thing. I have many clients that's completely undercharging. Okay, or I used to have. And I still sometimes have one or two that completely undercharges. So, and I'm sure you have them too.
Oh, yeah.
So when a client is undercharging or over delivering, where do you start the mindset, the energy, or the business model with that? How do you help them to fix that? I guess that's what I'm really asking.
So I got to remember how it went. So there was this gal that I know. She lives overseas. If I say where she's from, it's so tiny that she might even watch this and be like, or listen to this and be like, oh, wait, this gal that lives overseas. And she told me that I was like, oh, so, what are you charging? And she told me, and in her native currency, it's even less than it is here. And I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Are you serious for that level of transformation? So I think I usually lead with tough love. And I'm like, how could you, in what world would you think that is worth that? Like, this is, and the thing to keep in mind with pricing, and I probably should have led with this, but here's the goal. Your work, if it's the work that you're meant to do and it's the work that you're aligned with, is priceless. There is no price on it. If you're a person who helps a married couple stay together, you help someone change their diet so they're no longer precancerous, you help someone, get over their ex or get away from a narcissist. Like, there's so many things. Like, your work is priceless. So what you price your work has to be something that feels good for you. It has to be, how much time do I want to spend doing this across how many people? You know what I mean? Like, you need to say, like, okay, I want to make, let's just say I feel comfortable making $10,000 a month. Great. Do you want 10 clients at 1,000? Do you want 5 clients at 2,000? Like, you're the one who needs to decide what that looks like, not the client, right? And so I think that
and not the coach.
And no. No, But I do a little bit of tough love at the beginning. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is so incredible. If you can't get behind how incredible this is, then you can't sell it. Because I can tell you, I could have a $5,000 program and give it away for free, and people won't give it the time of day. Why? Because the energy is imbalanced. When you undercharge for an offer, you are robbing that client of the transformation that they could have if they had been allowed to energetically balance the equation. Now, that doesn't mean you may have, like, people are like, well, what about people that can't pay? Or what about people, like, let them write you 10 testimonials. Let them make you a video. Let them, do some work for you or whatever. Like, I'm not saying it has to be cash all the time, but there has to be an energetic equivalent. If there isn't, they are not physically capable of receiving the transformation that you owe them for having created this thing. And I've tested this. I've literally created the most incredible things and invited people and been like, you know what, I need a test dummy or whatever, or a support person, a guinea pig, that's the word. And they come in and they don't do the work. But you could take that same offer, charge $1,000, and they're doing everything. Why? Because the energy is there. Because people, when they don't invest energetically, don't feel like they have the worthiness or they don't have the ethical energetic ability to take from that subconsciously. They're not doing it consciously, they're doing it subconsciously. So that's really where I start, is like, you're undercharging for this? Great. You might as well tell her you're not going to get much out of this. And so this gal was like, oh my gosh. So she instantly switched over to American prices, tripled her prices. I think she ended up going to like, I don't know, it was like $40,000 for a contract or something. And she just started signing clients like that because it felt energetically congruent for her. Now, it didn't feel energetically congruent for me. I wouldn't charge that, but that's me, and that's my energy, and that's my blocks, and that's my things. You know what I mean? And so like, we have to keep in mind that every person, when we're talking about these micro businesses, we're all different energetic beings with different capacities and different desires. And we've got to, we can't support people with a one size fits all option when people are so different.
No, definitely not. And how you explained that is so beautiful to me, because it is really important. I've got clients that says, yes, but my previous coach said I must give it away. I must just coach for free until somebody actually wants to buy. The more I give them, the more they'll want to buy. And that's bullshit. I'm sorry, but if you're giving it away for free, people that get stuff for free don't invest. They don't put any effort into it, because, like you said, they have not energetically invested, whether it's financially or a belief. And if they don't necessarily financially invest or in kind, like you said, let them give you testimonials. But I even find with testimonials that people don't really, maybe a swap of a program or something else, although I don't do those kinds of things.
Or like referrals, affiliates, if they get 5 people,
Yes,
something like that. I mean, something
that's
energetically
yeah,
aligned.
that's a nice way of looking at it. Okay, so if they bring 5 people into it, they can have it for free. It means that they've had to put the effort in to get those 5 people there. Okay, so they've worked to get there, and to put people in there. So yes, I know if I get stuff for free, I don't spend any energy on it, nothing whatsoever. And so stop giving away your divine gifts for free. You're doing yourself and the people that you are here to help to change their lives dramatically a disservice by doing that, ladies. So it's critically important. And the way Amy Lee explained it, it's beautiful. So if you want to go back, listen to it again. Okay. You need to please listen to her. And to me, listen to us. We have been online for years and we know what we're talking about. It is critically important for you to do that. Okay.
And, even before we get there, let's talk about, never mind you're even talking about a program, people are overgiving in the DMs. People are coaching in Telegram and in DMs. You create a free Telegram or, a Voxer or whatever, and you've got people in there and they want you to read their chart, or they want, well, how come that, people get really good at figuring out and testing your boundaries to see how much free support they can get. And so it starts from the moment that you make that connection.
Yes, definitely. And they'll push the boundaries. You need to uphold those boundaries.
Sorry.
No, bless you. You can't see us, ladies, but she had a beautiful sneeze right now. The most dignified one I've seen in a long time. Okay, so let me check. What is the next question? We are having so much fun here that I don't even know where I am with my questions.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay. What is one simple shift someone can make today to clean up their sales energy and increase conversions? I think mostly just cleaning up their sales energy.
Yeah, I would say that the best thing you can do is the what if game. So we play what if with the bad stuff all the time. We're taught to look for the bad stuff. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if I don't sell any? It's like, what if you turn it on its head and say, if I was going to sell something today, what would it feel like? What if I sold 3 spots by the end of the day? How would I feel? What if this launch is a total sellout? What if 3 people come to me and I only have 2 spots and I have to turn one away? Like, how can you start looking at it from that, manifestation, high vibe energy, instead of looking for all the ways that it might go wrong or how you're going to compensate, right? Like, it's like fear porn, right? Like, you're like, and what if nobody signs up and I paid for this graphic and nothing's going to happen? It's like, or what if you get off, your live and there's 10 people lined up that are like, I want to work with you. 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 Like, what if you end up having to close the launch early because the spots are gone? What if somebody that you look up to as a mentor shows up and wants to be your client? Like, play in that energy. I think that's a really easy, fun thing to do to clean up that sales ickiness, and also remembering that, like, even the people you look up to, like there are lawyers out there and doctors, brain surgeons who may need support with diet. Are you going to say, oh, well, I don't really want to sell that, because they're going to go to your competitor who has no problem selling that? Just because somebody is a genius in one capacity doesn't mean that you're not a genius in a capacity that they need. And so being able to recognize that, like, I had a client who was like, you're not going to believe this. This famous person's mom just showed up and wants to work with me. And like, why are you surprised? You're damn good at what you do. Like, your reputation's out there. So what if she's famous? Who cares if she's famous, right? People have to start to really recognize, I've got something special. It matters. It's transformative. And it's my responsibility as the steward of this idea, as the steward of this work, to make sure that it gets out there and helps the people it's supposed to help.
Definitely. Thank you for that. That is really beautifully put as well. Ladies, that is another golden nugget. There's just so many of them in this episode. I really love it. So let's continue. I would suggest that you come back to this episode. Sorry, all of a sudden I've got a frog in my throat. I really suggest that you come back to this episode and listen again and take notes, because there's so many good things that Amy Lee is sharing with us here today that is really going to help you hugely in your business to make a huge difference. And if you do play this what if game and everything changes around, your conversions are automatically going to increase. Next question. What does capacity-driven growth look like for you personally? And how has it evolved as your business has scaled?
That's a really good question. Again, I'm the outlier, right? Like, I'm not your average person. I'm a generator. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. So I get bored when I don't have enough people to help. So I like having containers where I can give people support quickly, but also not all the time. So I really love Telegram. I have a lot of clients who are Telegram only. They pay a flat fee and I'm there if they need me. So I've got 12 of those at a time, potentially. Sometimes I think I've gone as high as 15. And they don't all need you all the time. You're like on retainer, right? So I don't, and then some of them also, they upgrade to have calls too, but nobody has calls every week. So if there's people that have 2 calls a month and other people that have 2 calls a month, I'm not necessarily like, I would say I probably spend conservatively about 3 hours a week on client Zooms. That's about what I spend. And the rest of it is in Telegram or in group stuff. So for me, I have moved away from containers where I have to do a lot of performing. And I've created containers where the performing I already did is accessible, and they can go back in time to where those things were new and fresh for me and ask me questions in real time. So it's like they're taking this capsule of a class I taught last year, they're watching it because that's where they are. And then they bring it into the moment and I meet them there and say, yeah, that's a great question. Well, this has shifted since I said that, or I'm still doubling down on this. So like the thing we're going to talk about at the end, that's a perfect example. It's something that I did live. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. But now people are going through it in real time and they're coming to me with questions. So I don't have to redo the thing. And every time I'm like, oh, I want to do a masterclass on this. I do a big masterclass. People come and then it goes into the vault and you can have access to that vault. And then you can say, hey, Amy Lee, I watched this and I kind of want to know what that's all about. Or, let's take this even deeper. Let's get on a call and let's figure out like, what does this look like for you? So for me, having my body of work be accessible kind of like as like a halo around my personal energy has expanded my capacity immensely and allowed me to scale a lot because I don't have to be there one-on-one. My energy does the heavy lifting.
I love how you do or how you explain these things and how you run your business. It's really creative. And you do what is good for you, what feels good in your body. So ladies, I really need you to listen to this. Those days where a coach tells you that you have to have this program, you have to run it this way, you have to do it this way. Take it from both Amy Lee and myself. I'm a manifesting generator. We're very similar with very big differences. But what I do want you to see is you need to lean into what feels good for you. There is no one way that makes money. There are a million different ways that you can make money in your business. There's a million different ideas and a million different ways to market it. You need to find what works for you. Those days where you get told you have to do this and you have to have this program and you have to do it that way, I'm going to go as far as to tell you that that is still very much bro marketing and the bro way of running a business. And you don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that because you're going to end up hating your business. I've been there. I've ended up hating my business a couple of times and I burned it all down and started again and revamped everything over and over again a few times already in the last 13 years. So don't do that. It's the worst thing that you can do. But that said, you're probably still going to go and do what you think is right because the coach tells you to do that. And I do want to encourage you to don't abandon yourself. Never abandon yourself. If you're abandoning yourself so badly that you cannot listen to your intuition and only to the coach, then you're making a mistake. And if you are in that process right now, stop, pause, take a break, reassess what is happening, and start listening to your body and to your intuition. Amy Lee, I do this with every single client, with every single guest I bring on to Elevated Woman. I have a few quick questions that I want you to answer with a very short answer. It's my quick rapid fire round. And then we're going to end this episode. It's been a little bit longer, but it has been absolutely amazing. I love it. First question, a daily ritual or energetic practice that keeps you grounded?
Doing Kriya yoga.
Good. One word that describes your current frequency?
Energized.
Great. A brief, a belief about business you've completely rewritten.
Belief about business that I've completely rewritten. That there's a right way to do it.
Beautiful. I love that one. A book, a quote, or an idea that you come back to often.
If you are not making enough sales, you are not providing enough service.
I love that. That's beautiful. Okay. Listen to that one, ladies. How do you personally stay elevated when things gets loud or demanding?
I hide. I have 5 kids and a husband, and I don't even know how many animals we have. And I come to my little office cave and I hide. I lock the door and I model good boundaries for my daughters.
Good. You've got how many kids? 5. Oh, wow. Okay. How do you keep up with so many kids?
Generator baby.
I've only had one, and I've got one grandchild, and I struggle to keep up with my one grandchild. Oh, I don't know. I've always wanted a big family, but it was just never meant for me. And now I admire women that have big families. Okay. So Emily, you have a very special freebie that you want to share with the listeners, and you mentioned the name of it
Yeah.
in the episode. So can you tell us very quickly what it's about and what it will give to the ladies listening and downloading or getting access to it?
Well, first of all, let me say it should have some caution tape around it because the you that you are before you watch it and the you that you are after is completely different. You've been warned. But basically, we talk about energetics and having that fortification. My work in energetics, which is a word that I actually trademarked, is all about connecting to the inner masculine lover, the inner energy of the divine that is here to support us, to fortify us, to protect us, to create foundation, and also to be in an intimate energetic relationship with us. And so that masterclass is all about understanding what that looks like, how to connect to it. It was a 5-day course that I did, and it changed the landscape. It was just unreal. We continue to send people to it all the time. And every day I get DMs about how life-changing it's been. So really being able to connect to that energy, it shifts something inside of you that instead of looking to the field for that external validation, you are able to cultivate the validation internally, which makes you wildly magnetic to money and clients and opportunities and all those yummy things. Reverses the aging process. It's just if I show you, after this, I will send you in Messenger. I'll send you a picture of what I looked like 10 years ago and you will poop your pants because I look 10 years older 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. I can't even imagine. That sounds really, really exciting. I am actually going to sign up for that freebie. I can do with 10 years younger, just to keep up with my grandchild. Okay, ladies, I will include all the details to that really yummy masterclass that you're going to get from Amy Lee. Download it. Is it downloadable, or do they listen to it in a portal?
It's on a page. Yeah, you might be able to download it, but it's definitely all the videos are there for you to watch.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just go log into it, get your access to that. Access will be in the show notes. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait to go and listen to it. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me, Amy Lee. This conversation blended energy and strategy so beautifully. I know listeners are going to feel the truth of this in their bodies. I know I do, and I really had so much fun having this conversation with you. If this episode really did something for you and stirred a little bit of something in your body, connect with Amy Lee and learn more about her work at amyleewestervelt.com. It will be in the show notes, so you can just click on that website and go and learn more about her. Reach out to her in her social media. That will also be there, and go get that freebie. I promise you, it sounds really amazing. Connect with her, chat with her, and see how she can help you if this episode has just stirred even a little bit in you. Until next time, stay elevated. Thank you for tuning into Elevated Woman. If today's episode activated something in you, share it tag me, or come say hi in the DMs. And if you're ready to go deeper, head to myriswankotze.com to grab your free gift or explore the offers aligned with your next level. Until next time, own your power, claim your wealth, and rise as the elevated woman you came here to be.